Welcome back to Micatron TV. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Today I wanted to make a video on my experience from detoxing off of methadone in jail. I've done it 2 different times. I'm gonna go ahead and say the last time was the last time. So the first time, let me go back and start. I was on methadone from 2007 to 2018. And I think in those 11 years, I might have had 6 months that I was off of it between the 2 times that I got clean, completely clean. And so, I was on a high dose both times. The first time in 2015, I was on 130 milligrams, and I had been on it for years. So I got arrested on the initial arrest on my stuff that I'm still on probation for today, 5 years later. Which is, I got caught first initially a DWI, reckless driving, and then once I got to the jail, I got charged with possession of cocaine and possession of a controlled substance in the jail. So I wasn't able to make bond. I think my bond was like $24,000 or something. It was it was $25,000. It was 2 12s and a 1,000. That magistrate apparently wasn't happy with me getting caught in there with it. So they gave me a pretty high bond. But so you get in there. Anyone who's detoxed off methadone knows that you're pretty good for the first 3 days. But they still took me to medical because of the way that I come in there. Just so impaired. I'd eaten a bunch of Xanaxes and got a DWI in 2015, and they sent me down to medical. I told them I was on methadone. They're like, "Oh, we don't prescribe. We don't give that here." And I was like, "Well, I kind of figured that." And they're like, "We'll give you a detox protocol." They gave me, and I was also prescribed Xanax, but I was taking them on getting them off the street too back then. And they gave me, because I was prescribed the Xanaxes, they gave me a detox protocol for them too. They gave me Ativan. But they gave me Clonidine, Zofran, and Tylenol was the 3 things that they gave me, and they only gave that to me for 3 days. And it was only for the first 3 days. And you don't really get sick until after those first 3 days. I mean, they basically gave it to me the same way they would give you as if you were coming off of heroin, because it's almost immediate, or within a few hours of your last dosage. But methadone has such a long half-life that, it takes a while for it to start coming out of your system and start getting sick. But, I'm just going to go ahead and say that it was hell. Anyone who's been locked up knows that the best way to do your time is to sleep as much as you can. I mean, everybody knows that. It's the easiest way to pass time. When you're not on rec or whatever, you just go in your room and sleep, because they have 2-man cells in the jail I was in, Catawba County. So basically, I slept for like the first 2 days, because like I said, I was still coming. I did a bunch of Xanax, so I was able to sleep the first 2 days. And then after that, I didn't sleep at all, man. And if I did, it was for like 15 or 20 minutes at a time. I'd wake up in a pool of sweat, be freezing, hot, cold, and that time I was in there for, I think, 3.5 months. And I mean, a lot of people don't believe me. Unless you've actually come off of methadone like that, 3.5 months still isn't enough time for you to be 100% normal. You're still having the cold chills. You're still having a little bit of a tough time sleeping. I'd sleep 5 or 6 hours. And I don't. The doctors say, "Oh, it should be you should be fine within like 2 weeks," and no. I mean, methadone is, their studies are wrong, is all I can say. At least in my experience. Because it was just, 6 weeks later was whenever, I had it almost down to, like, it was 6 weeks after my last dosage was when I started sleeping, 6 hours at night. Was able to eat, had an appetite. That's another thing, is you can't eat. And the jail food's already fucking terrible. So, if I wasn't sick throwing up, I would be gagging because, for me, when I was coming off the methadone, my gag reflex was just terrible. And, I'd be eating that peanut butter and on that dry-ass bread. And they give that to you for breakfast back then. 3 times a week, it was peanut butter and bread, and then they gave you pan bread, a bag of milk, and a bag of orange juice. And that's all you had until lunchtime, unless you had canteen. And it was rough. And a lot of people in the jail thought that I was holding meth, man, because, I would come down there and my fucking pupils would be fucking huge. But it was just because I was detoxing, and the lights that kill your eyes, I kept a headache the entire time that I was locked up. I was constantly trading coffee for Tylenol because I had money on my books. I couldn't go. I couldn't go to medical after my first one because the first one's free. After that, I think they charge you $20 just to go to medical, and then if they give you Tylenol, which they actually gave Tylenol back then, they would give it to you for 3 days for that $20. So I was like, I'd be better off just trading coffee to an indigent person that can go to medical as much as they want. And I did, and it helped me out some, but it just, it was terrible, not being able to sleep. I even had police, because I would just be up all night long, just sitting on my bunk, just like ready to, feeling like I was going to die, man. And I would have them, they would come around and do their little rounds every 30 minutes or whatever. And in Catawba County, they have these little metal ports that are on the door, and they have a beeper. And I guess it's to show that they went by the door, and they have to beep every single door. And some of them police don't give a fuck if it's nighttime or what. They'll just come up and hit the door and then work it in there, because it's got to go in an actual hole right below the window. I guess that's to kind of force them to look in the window. And, I'd have them look up at me, walk by, and then come back and look. And they'd be like, I don't know if they thought I was about ready to hang myself or what. And the last time that I detoxed off of methadone in jail was back in 2018. I was so cold and so sick that I had took the towel. I wasn't trying to do anything. I had took the towel and what it was I had put it over my eyes because I was trying to sleep. And I couldn't sleep. So I gotten up and I had the towel and I pulled it down around my neck so I could see. And there was a female CO, and I was on the bottom bunk at the time. Female CO going around doing her. We were actually on lockdown because people were yelling at the night shift female COs saying FUB, FUB, just raising hell because she said something out of the way to another inmate. I don't really remember what happened. I just remember they locked us down. They kept saying, if y'all keep being disrespectful to the CO, they come over the intercom in everybody's room. If y'all keep being disrespectful, we're going to lock you down. And, of course, there were people that were like, F you, we're going to do what we want. And they're like, all right, we're going to show y'all. So they locked us down over some petty crap. But the CO that walked by and saw me, and she's like, you're not about to kill yourself, are you? I'm like, no, this was my my blinder from the lights, because they keep the lights on. But, just always freezing cold. Detoxing off methadone in jail is terrible. Especially if you're going to be in there for a while, because it doesn't get any better anytime soon. It stays the same type of worseness. Once you peak at the feeling terrible, it stays there for weeks. And your bones hurt, you're just constantly cold. But even being through all those withdrawals, the only thing that I would crave, I guess it was because I knew I didn't have a choice, was a cigarette. Even over the methadone and everything, I was like, all I want is a cigarette. I didn't, it was probably a mental thing, just knowing that it wasn't ever going to come in there. Yeah, coming off methadone is terrible. And you would have thought that I would have learned my lesson the first time. But I turned around and it wasn't. Because when I got out of jail the first time in Catawba County, after getting arrested for my initial charge, I think I made it. Actually, the day after I got out of jail, I went to work because they held my job for me at this restaurant I worked at, Carolina Burger. They held my job there, and there was a guy there. First thing, gave me a Perk 10. Just gave it to me. He's like, man, I know you're going to feel this now. And it was off to the races, man. But see, I didn't even have any motivation to get clean or to stay off of anything that time. I knew I wasn't going to go back to heavy mixing benzos and methadone and doing stimulants on top of that, whether it was cocaine, smoking crack, or doing meth. Back then that was what I liked to do. I knew I wasn't going to go back to that, or I thought I wasn't going to go back to that, and but the opiates, they've always had a pretty bad grip on me. So, and it's all about my mind. For me, it's all about my mind state. I had enough pain. I had enough, just not having anybody, and all I wanted to do was, get high and just being miserable because I can't pay no bills. I'm always got people riding my ass about money, pending homelessness, or being homeless. All that pain, man, is just, I guess I just had enough. It's easy, like I've said in 2 videos before this, it's easy to forget where you come from when things start getting good. It really is. That's why anyone new in recovery, I would recommend doing gratitude lists. You hear it all the time in rehab and stuff, but when you put it on paper and see the stuff that, and just the little things, like having a means to eat, whether you got, you're not having to eat jail food, and your freedom, man, my freedom is always the top thing on my gratitude list, man. Always, because I have so much, and I've done it before. I've had shit, I've got stuff together and lost it all because I got locked up. Everything that I've accumulated, I don't want to lose. That's, material things, you can always get them back. I've proved that to myself, but I don't want to go through that again. It's not worth it just to get high, because, I'm an all-in addict. Once I release that thing, it might get to the point where someone has to stop me. That's where it's gotten before, but I don't want to test the waters, man. Because I know it's just gonna get worse every single time. I don't know how it could get any worse, but it could. Death is the only thing that I can see being worse, and I'm just not willing to roll that dice, man. So I'm just grateful to be clean today. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I just like making videos like this. I know it's never going to go anywhere, but if it reaches one person, then it was worth my time to make these videos. So, if y'all like this, at least leave a comment and let me know that you like it, so I can know that, it's worth my time to reach at least one person, man. It makes me feel good. I feel like that's my meaning in life now, is to help other addicts, whether actively using or in recovery. Just with sharing my pain and the stuff that I went through. If it saves one person from having to go through that, then it was so well worth it. Anyways, y'all, Microtron over and out. I will talk to y'all later.